Stable-Tec Studios? Panel thingy, yes! Okay. Oh, we're done with that. We have a whole lot more to talk about than just one video. All right. You see, we're fighting with the limitations of PCs. No, I use PC. I'm just saying, you know, it's a lot. Okay. First of all, how many of you are here because you know who we are? Okay, most of you. How many of you are here because you read about it in the brochure, the con book, and thought it sounded interesting? Okay, good, half and half. We are prepared for that because we know that there's a whole bunch of different ponies out there. Okay, this is okay. You know, going back a second. I'm SkyBolt, the voice and music director for Stable-Tec Studios, and I do a lot of other stuff too.
My name is Patrick O'Brien. I am one of the executives of Stable-Tec. I'm going to be talking about how I became a Stable-Tec.
Install. You see, the last panel had 6 people for an hour panel, and it's us for an hour and a half, so we need a little bit of grace in this sense. Oh, lovely. So, are you all enjoying the convention so far? How many of you, it's your first Everfree Northwest? Show these hands. Oh, right, a lot of you. Yeah. Okay, how many of you, it's your first Brony convention at all? Wow! Lots of new people. How many of you, it's your first time, let me see. Okay, how about first convention and all? This is your first time coming to a group of, ooh, wow, all right. Okay, we have a very special thing. And now, all the font is loaded properly, so we can max that baby out. And, alrighty. Wait, is there a max F5? F1, F11, F11, okay. Function 11. And, okay, I guess this is going to have to do. That's okay.
Yeah, try double clicking the actual image.
No.
Pressing F12.
Well, it is technically on the screen.
Just push the buttons.
Power button?
Eventually works. Push the enemy PowerPoint, you can actually press enter.
Control Alt Delete, that's right. That's how we fix all the problems. Okay, why don't we get started? Because you have all been waiting probably a long time outside for us, and we deserve to give you a presentation. For those of you don't know, we are Stable-Tec Studios. We are a group of about a couple dozen people at this point who are dedicated to bringing Fallout Equestria to life as an animated series. Our staff come from all over the world, which is why many of them could not afford to be here with us today, but you'll get to see some of their beautiful faces in just a little bit. Our staff come from all over the world, from all sorts of different creative sectors. All crafts are creative, even the macaroni art.
What about Minecraft?
That's especially creative.
Unless they're not able to Minecraft.
Animators, concept artists, vector artists, 3D effects, special effects artists, musicians, voice actors, sound designers, web designers, and many, many more. And we've been preparing for the last month to bring you guys some very fun stuff here today. But hold on, SkyBolt! A lot of you may be saying to yourself, "What's a Fallout Equestria?" Equestria. Well, for those of you who don't know, Fallout Equestria is a fan fiction written back in 2011 by a very avid Fallout and MLP fan named K-Cat. Fallout Equestria is an epic 650,000-word novel that combines two very popular franchises with very passionate fan bases into one common universe. On the surface, Fallout and My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic might seem like diametrically opposed properties. On one hand, you've got Fallout, the post-apocalyptic role-play game series, and My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic, which is all about adventure and fun and magic and going on quests with your friends. But really, if you think about it, are they so different? Now you see, the real challenge is figuring out who Raoul would be. But, are they so different? However, does that mean that Fallout and Fallout Equestria should be compared to all the other bad fan fiction out there on the internet that seems to combine properties in an ineffective way? You know the ones. But that's the question that K-Cat dared to ask, and thank goodness she did, because after 6 months of unparalleled passion and effort, she wrote the story that brings us all here today. So, enter Tyler Teschke. Wait, no, sorry. Enter Tyler Teschke. Tyler is an animator and Flash master who got his start in one of the most popular sites of the early internet, Newgrounds, which is still active today, in a MySpace sort of sense. After reading and becoming enraptured with the story himself, he created and posted on YouTube what can arguably be called the first Stable-Tec animation. The battle scene, which is just a minute long, stars our heroine of the wasteland, Little Pip, as she takes out a group of raiders with Little Macintosh and good old-fashioned bucks to the face. Trainer has fainted. Realizing, however, how large and dedicated the fan base was, this video got shared on all sorts of different brony blogs, from Equestria Daily, Derpy Boru, Pony-chan, I believe that's still around, quickly gaining in many views and popularity. And so Tyler thought, you know, what if we did a little bit more with this? What if, and come with me on this one, we did the entire story as an animated series? And so he decided that's exactly what he was going to do. And so he made another animation for the series announcement. Now, from that... So, officially, the recruiting process had begun for Stable-Tec Studios. Showing off his own skills and daring other artisans in the community to do the same, from this, we got our very first voice actors for Calamity and Little Pip. Sorex and Rainbow. And you'll be hearing quite a bit more from them later on. But on top of our very first voice actors, we also got our fierce musician and sound designer, the Rocking Fellow. And so, with that group of 4 ponies, Stable-Tec Studios was officially born. With, aside from further recruiting, it was a new age in Equestria. So they decided that with their powers combined, they would create a promo to, again, continue the recruiting process and expand and show off the tone and feel of the series. It was during production of this promo that I was kind of derping around doing different Fallout Equestria songs on my own YouTube channel when I decided, man, this is great. I really want to get involved as a voice actor or something. And so I started looking around for a lot of different Fallout Equestria projects, which ended up being about a handful of radio plays that didn't go anywhere. But of course, they weren't nearly putting in the effort or time or beautiful production quality that Equestrian Broadcasting Company has been doing. So, unfortunately, they tanked. But then, a voice actor for Stable-Tec, Dapperjack, told me about Tyler Teschke and his crazy idea to create a Fallout Equestria animated series. And I'm like, okay, that sounds pretty good. So after talking to Tyler, I got involved with the studio, and I I was part of it. So, excited to be a part of it. I decided to help promote the series with a little wink and nod in my 1-year anniversary video on my YouTube channel, which was a parody of Screen Junkie's honest trailers about Fallout Equestria. It was great because it had a split review of people thinking it was a good trailer for Fallout Equestria to describe it to people who didn't know what it was. But at the same time, they said I didn't razz it enough, like Screen Junkies usually does with their works. And I'm like, I just was being honest. It's pretty awesome. So, excited to be a part of Stable-Tec. I wanted to give that a little bit of nod. And then, interestingly enough, from the honest trailer, I got in contact with another gentleman, Mr. Patrick O'Brien, who was also working on a Fallout Equestria animation. And I became part of Friendly Raiders Productions.
Friendly Raider Production was born last year when I learned how to direct a few things from Flamingo Rich when he did his panel last year at Everfree Northwest. With that new knowledge, I decided to go out there and find some people that will help me lead this on. After a few Facebook askings and a lot of asking Equestria Daily, where if there's anyone that would like to help me voice act, animate, and all that sort of stuff. I found a few pretty good leaders and pretty good voice actors and animators. I got SkyBolt here when I contacted him on YouTube, and I got another great leader, gentleman named Daniel Hopkins. He, sadly enough, was not able to be here. With this idea, we kept on going on. Unfortunately, I did take my studio down one of the few wrong paths that you can make while making an animation. And I believe it was Daniel Hopkins, which was the first, came to me first about merging together with Stable-Tec. SkyBolt here, which recently worked with them, said good words about us, and then the merging began. I became an executive because of my directing role. I am also learning how to become an even better director than I was from Tyler Teschke, and I am also helping with the animations and vectoring.
And so, with both of our studios combining, we were Captain Fallout. Now, you might have to be a 90s child to appreciate this. Sorry, Ted Turner. We were in full production. So, we had a team of about 20 people by this point, and I must reiterate that Stable-Tec Studios has become a very international entity. We have people from roughly 12 time zones. That's half, for those of you who don't know. And so it makes meetings and things a little bit tricky, and it makes it even trickier when we want to bring them all out here to talk to you lovely people. But, however, we do have a bit of a video from a lot of them who wanted to say hello and what they do for the studio.
I'm next part whiskey, and I'm older than that.
Hey there, people of ponies of Everfree Northwest. My name's Everfree, aka Sonic Lightning, and my jobs in the stable include voice acting, co-directing the writing team, and being the only female in the entire executive team. Please send up.
Steve Davis, the Public Relations Director. And I'm no editing director. I'm the sexiest director around. Draw me like one of your French girls.
Hello, Everfree Northwest. I'm Heidko, also known as TK, and I'm the storyboard director, concept art artist, and marketing poster artist for Stable-Tec Studios.
My name is Lee Chung, and I am the vector art leader at Stable-Tec Studios. I am in charge of anything vector related within my department, and also to teach other members in my department about vectoring as well.
Hello, my name is Ashley Regier. I am a voice actress for Stable-Tec Studios. I am cast as the Overmare and look forward to more roles in the future.
Good day. My name is Ian Anderson. I'm a storyboard artist and head of the concept department. On behalf of that department, I would like to thank you personally for taking your time to watch this segment with us.
Hello, my name is Void Scythe. I am co-director of weapons development. Also, I am a vector artist and concept artist.
Is this thing on? Is this... Hello? 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 Oh, g'day there. I'm Starry Flame, and I'll be one of the voice actresses for Stable-Tec. Nice to meet you.
Hello, people and ponies at Everfree Northwest. My name is Nick Gilbert. I'm also known as Evian. I am the head of the weapons development department within Stable-Tec Studios. I'm also a concept artist, a writer, and I'm also a voice actor.
Hi, I'm Kamil, and I am concept and vector artist.
Hi, I'm Joshua Whipple, and I do marketing at Stable-Tec Studios.
Hi guys, my name's JD and I'm a member of the writing team and the caretaker for the Portal to Hell. Why do we have a Portal to Hell at Stable-Tec Studios, I hear you ask? It was just kind of there in the basement.
Hello, my name is James Vermont. I'm a writer at Stable-Tec.
Hi, my name is Mikuai Dudek, also known as Jalkim, and I'm a voice actor on the Stable-Tec Studios voice acting team.
Hello, I am Drayden Durchi, also known as Canvas Stories. I'm a team member of part of Stable-Tec that does concept art, storyboarding, and animation. In short, I like to do things that are more visual.
Hello, my name is Wishes Lotus on YouTube or Dinky on Skype, and I am part of Stable-Tec Studios voice acting team.
Hello, my name is Iggy Dapperjack Kid. I am a voice actor and a composer for Stable-Tec Studios.
I'm Breeze Feather, and I do environmental design, prop vectoring, and web design for Stable-Tec Studios.
No, tell Kevin the animatics need to be done by Saturday. Oh, hi. My name is Michael Hall, and I am the director and HR department for Stable-Tec Studios, and I'm really glad you've joined us here today at Everfree Northwest, and I hope you really enjoyed this. No, wait, I know Hardcore has the storyboards for it, but we need Lee to vector those. And someone tells you to close the door to the cellar. I think Lee's being possessed again. Everybody tells us once the sort of this.
We're quite the motley crew. Now, and I definitely don't have a camera with terrible battery life that I have to change every once in a while. So, the Stable-Tec regrets not being able to be here, but they want to stay home. So, with an international entity like Stable-Tec, we had to lay out a we have to be very good at our organization process and lay out the departments in such a way that everyone can be working even though some people are sleeping while others aren't. But then again, that's how a lot of animation studios work, even if you're in the same building. So each department was set up to be led by a director who would then be in direct communication with each of their individual team members and make sure that they get their work done and make sure there's good unity amongst the individual team. And this, as you can see, is our essential department list. Now, obviously, there's a lot of gray areas, there's a lot of Venn diagram like crossover between departments, but for the most part, this is how we're laid out and operating. And there's also unlisted subcategories like, anyway. So, but since this is basically how we work, why don't we show you how the radioactive magic, or taint, happens. Writing and screenplay. So, like I said before, Fallout Equestria in its original form is a novel that was released chapter by chapter on Film Fiction. Those of you who've read the book know that just like with the Fallout games, little Pip and friends take their time and enjoy many side quests and adventures before facing off against the major villains of the story. This aided us greatly in producing and converting the story into an episodic format, which is how we'll be releasing our episodes. One thing a lot of people don't realize, though, is that writing a screenplay is very different than writing a novel. We didn't just separate the book into 20-page sections or chapter by chapter and start recording and drawing. It takes a lot of adaptation. In almost 100% of cases, a novel or series of novels, as more comparatively in this case, must be condensed down. For instance, a lot of that actually gets taken care of when you move into a visual format like an animation. So page after page of scene description, character layout, things like that can be taken care of with just a few seconds of visuals and fitting music. But that's not to say that then all the dialogue is going to end up in the final product. Even with unlimited time disposal at your hands, a lot of the dialogue is going to have to get cut, and a lot of characters are going to have to be modified or even dropped completely. Take, for example, in film, Tom Bombadil. I know, everyone's sad. Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, he's one of the more memorable characters from The Fellowship of the Ring. He's an important foil character in the story because he's one of the few characters that was able to resist the temptations and influence of the One Ring. So in the story, ultimately, he gave further context to the morality, magic, and nature of Middle-earth. But despite all that, ultimately, his purposes could be completed by either more prevalent or important characters, or in other ways, so Tom Bombadil bombed out of the final script. Now, in television, you have a much better format to work with. The indefinite endpoint of television, or in this case, an online series, or now you have so many in-betweens, such as Netflix series, Hulu series, and etc. You can really define the length of your episodes, the length of your seasons, and the length of your series as a whole. So in the case of Game of Thrones, for instance, it is an HBO show that goes without commercials for essentially one straight hour, and converting the series of novels, A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin. With that format, you're able to get a lot more of the hard-hitting emotions of the story, a lot of those real tear-jerkers in the plot that could have dragged on just a little bit too long for a feature film, even one that has quite a big extended edition like Lord of the Rings. But because of that, you get to really feel those feels. Now, with story in hand, there is one more very important thing to being a screenplay writer as opposed to a novelist, and that is being able to communicate visuals and staging. For instance, you can't just have a script that says Little Pip is walking down the hallway, being sad. You have to think about what the viewers are watching while this is happening. Is Little Pip looking down at her hooves as a POV shot? Are others looking at her and scowling at her? Is she looking back or reacting or crying? These are a lot of things that need to be put very specifically to page, otherwise the animators and voice actors will have no idea what you're going for specifically. We have, of course, a lot of levity in that we're doing an adapted work versus an original, but it's still poignant. And, of course, we have a storyboarding department that will take care of that as well. So, in order to communicate those visuals to an artist, it's really good if you, as a writer, also have visual experience, like our very own Feather Scratch. Feather Scratch is a comic artist and very good visual artist himself, and so having that experience and nuance in the field, he's able to do a much better job of getting his ideas across and getting the exact minute-by-minute details across to the rest of us as the head of our screenplay department. Same with our assistant screenplay writer, Sonic, who you got to see earlier. So with a skilled writer and an equally capable team, they've been working very hard on adapting the story into episodic screenplays, and they've come pretty far by this point. But of course, that takes us to the next step in the process, which is storyboarding. Now, storyboarding is the process of creating basic shot composition for every scene of animation. It's meant to give the artists and animators a quick visual look on how that scene is supposed to play out. When a storyboard artist receives the script with a scene description saying, "A newspaper is carried off by a breeze, fluttering down the road by the farm," it is then their job to translate that into visuals. You can see from these storyboards from episode 1 that while very simple drawings, the storyboards have a profound effect on the rest of the visuals, art, and animation. For starters, these 3 panels show the exact angle and view of Sweet Apple Acres in the background that would be That would then be sent to our vector art department team, and specifically the background artist team, to be turned into its proper moving backdrop piece, as well as the other layers you can see, such as the tree, rock, and fence. Then the main subject of the scene, which is in this case the telltale newspaper, would be sent to either the prop or puppet design department to be turned into its proper working flash puppet, or a simple model for the animators to use and manipulate. This is where the real creative cinematography comes into play for the storyboard artist. This is where the scenes can then be beautifully translated in even their earliest forms. And like I said before, this act can act like a shopping list for all the other visual departments to know what they need to produce and work on. Although again, with an adapted work like Fallout Equestria, we know we're going to need a velvet puppet, which is done, obviously. And so a shot like this, straight face forward, is probably one of the first that was designed. But nonetheless, big shots like this atrium scene for Stable 2 would then get put to development with this exact angle and all the little nuances like the structural supports, the scale of the room, staircases, and etc. And then there are scenes like this where artists like our own Ian Anderson can throw in some great visual gags. And while these are some of our early versions of our storyboards, you can see here that storyboards are very effective at doing timing and pacing. They can be used to just get a basic idea for how a scene is going to play out in terms of speed. Because, of course, different animations, different series can have a much different tone just based on how fast the scenes are clipped together. Compare, for instance, Avatar: The Last Airbender or Legend of Korra to something with a little bit more sporadic movements like Adventure Time. But overall, storyboards then can be converted into animatics with that timing and pacing, which can then be used to sync up with early versions of music and dialogue, which helps our teams out quite a bit. So then, that moves us sort of backwards, sort of forwards to concept art. Now, concept art is one of the earliest pieces of visual development, and in most cases, the first actually, but is an ongoing process through any animated production. Basically, as soon as an artist or writer comes up with something that needs to be visually seen, at least one person has to create a set of concept art, or in many cases, a few different variants of concept art, for how that thing is ultimately going to look in the series. And so, it's at this point in the story that we do need to address an elephant in the room. Hasbro's legal department has been hard at work taking down a lot of the major fan projects created out there, and some of them have come a little bit too close to the real thing for their comfort level, and so people have become jaded and apathetic about that as far as big projects, thinking they'll never get off the ground. But we are taking several steps to prevent any possibility of a C&D. We have several legal experts on our team, people that have law degrees, people that have taken the bar, as far as a great deal of consultants to make sure that we sidestep carefully and do this right, because we want to do it and we want to see it through to the end. The end, in fact, is also where questions will be done. And so, one of those examples is the actual animation. One thing that got Jan in a little bit of hot water was the fact that his animations were so show accurate and so tone accurate to the actual series that, again, it competed directly with Hasbro's own product. Which, of course, everyone can debate, large corporations and copyright and everything, but flat out, they had, they put out their C&D. So one thing we are doing is we are creating our own art style for the animation that we'll be inputting into the series, just to have that further separation from Hasbro. And so after experimenting with a great deal of different visual art styles, which has honestly extended the visual development time a little bit, which is why we are here now versus earlier, we're very happy to show off our official animation style for the series. As you can tell, they are still going to be very adorable little ponies, I can promise you that. And even though Little Pip is a nice, even gray, all of the other characters will have their proper color and life to their eyes. The main differences, as you can tell from this, are in the hind legs and in the head. The proportion of the eyes and head have been brought down just a little bit in comparison to the original VHX style, and the hind legs have been made just a little bit more horse-like. But some of the advantages that we're playing with this art style are the extra shadowing and detail in things like the hair and the clothing. For a very dramatic series like Fallout Equestria, that gives our artists and animators a lot of wiggle room to really get those emotions and nuances across with just the right kind of shading. And so that's something that they are very much going to play with. But then, of course, you have fun things like the average stable dweller, you know, big eyes and looking so nicely. And, of course, famous characters that all of you know. And as you can see, though, it already has that "I am so done with this place" face on. Speaking of which, we thought you would probably ask, so, Derpy. Yeah. And she might need a little bit of moisturizer and conditioner, but ultimately, we love her. Then, of course, we have our very straightforward parody of Vault Boy, Stable-Tec. And a lot of people have asked, because we have different animations, we have played with different styles and things, but ultimately we are staying as true to the novel as possible while still taking some loyalties. So obviously we have mouth-operated weaponry. This little 10mm pistol, for example, was designed by our artist Heaven, and you can see that it has a shifted operation from left to right. So being a soldier himself, he's been having a lot of fun getting all the inner workings, literally, of the weapons figured out. Then you've got your, medium-range weapons when you got just rad roaches and stuff to deal with, or if you need something with a little bit more kick. Now, notice on the sniper rifle here, the extended ground post, which is sort of like the bipod for, actual human ape-like snipers. That can be planted in the ground, again, with a mouthpiece that can be moved to left or right, depending on the operator. And then we have just, some other random Fallout fan art. And our pit bug design by Vector Brownie, who we are very happy to have on our team now. So then from there we move on to vector art and puppet design. Okay, it is moving. Vector art and puppet design. They are separate processes, but the essentials are the same, is that they're all about assembling flash rigs that can then be used by animators to actually make the animation. So in them they'll have a lot of different angles and motions and things, so the animators can play with them like puppets. And we have several of our main characters developed, as well as a couple of nice base models like Pinky here. Not actual Pinky, this is just our female model. And so then from these base models we can add just different coats, textures, tails, hair patterns, and easily convert them into a whole array of different characters. Then from there we have one thing that we've been working on very, very detailed, because of course we exist on YouTube, as many of you probably know. We exist on Facebook, as not as many of you know, and Twitter. But we've been working on a website that we think a lot of people with Fallout 1 and 2 sensibilities are really going to appreciate. The web development team has been hard at work, and one person on the team is also female, so Sonic's not the only one anymore. And so eventually Stable-Tec is going to be the place to go to see all of our new content updates, postings, and it will be the exclusive home of an upcoming side series that we've been working on very hard. And speaking of side series, have all of you, or hopefully most of you, gotten to hear Confessions of a Wasteland Pony? No? Okay, well then, these next two slides might be meaningless. Confessions of Wasteland Pony is a prequel series, a radio play series that we're developing along with the animated series. It's a fun little thing that we're doing as a side project, and it'll also be great supplemental material between the expected log time between animations. It stars DJ Pony as he interviews a series of interesting and unique stories from everyday citizens of post-apocalyptia. The inspiration for the format, for any of you who might have heard, was the World War Z abridged audiobook. essentially a series of interviews that, while they're their own individual encapsulated stories, they round out one very powerful whole series that, in our case, is going to be a great world-building setting for Fallout Equestria as a whole. And since most of you haven't heard it, you probably will recognize her, but meet Emerald Fields, who is a character from that first episode. And a lot of you, the few of you who might have heard the series, can also might have heard the song, which is the theme song for Confessions of Wasteland Pony, composed by PSP7 Master with lyrics and singing by me. And it shows just a little bit of a taste of musical development that we've been doing at the studio.
Story must come to an end. I wish I could tell you more. We've had our sadness and we've had our fun, something we can't ignore. And though we may fly to the east and the west, and distance may keep us apart, we'll meet again where the hellhounds prey, and each one will do his part. Yes, we'll meet again where the Steel Rangers slay, and each one will do his part. Every story has the good and the bad, but we will be fair and sincere. We'll stay together in Equestria's ways as long as we all are here. And though we may fly to the east and the west, and distance may keep us apart, we'll meet again where the radroaches play, and each one will do his part. Yes, we'll meet again as we wait for the day, and each one will do his part.
We do have a lot of very fun and very hard-hitting stories planned for that radio play series, and the series as a whole is going to tie in a very powerful way to the actual Fallout Equestria animated series as well. But yeah, so speaking of music, we might as well keep talking about music. Did any more of you happen to see Nuclear Winter Wonderland? Okay, phew. Nuclear Winter Wonderland, as an example, started out as just another fun song parody, like I'm used to doing, that Tyler and I had the idea of. I took a lot of lyrical ideas from one of my musical heroes, Weird Al Yankovic, specifically his song Christmas at Ground Zero. So it's meant to have some really tongue-in-cheek, dark humor lyrics that you might have to have the Wild Wild Wasteland perk to properly appreciate. And it's basically, it was a nice little way that we could show our Wasteland heroes taking a break from their very intimidating quest of saving the world, just to have a little bit of holiday fun, a little sing-along. We were in a bit of a rush making it too. That we had the idea over Thanksgiving, so, but despite everything, I think it seemed to turn out alright. A lot of people seemed to like it. And the song was also a great opportunity to talk, to showcase that beautiful wartime culture in Equestria that we are really going to be pursuing for the world building for the series. For those of you who built the novel know that it takes a lot of direct inspiration from the Fallout series in that supercharged Cold War America. So hyper-patriotism and a little bit of loss of liberty expanded into a which is one thing that we want to lay out and set the tone of the series with music, with songs, with parodies like "Ain't Love a Buck to Hen," but not just of specific numbers. We have a lot of original songs in the works to fill out this genre. Songs that will be by Sweetie Belle or Octavia, Vinyl Scratch, Lyra, along with the silly pony parody names like Johnny Marks, Deuce Domino, or Sinatra. These are going to be the songs that help define the world. And basically these are the wartime and pre-war songs. Whereas from Every Story Must Come to an End, you'll notice that it included a lot of things that happened after the bonds fell. And that's the second category of the vocal songs we're working on, the post-war and wartime songs. This is going to include everything written and sung by Velvet Remedy, a lot of songs adapted straight out of the book, as well as quite a few new ones and originals as well. Basically it's going off of the idea that DJ Pony has, along with looking for interesting stories in the wasteland to talk about, to really show off the equestrian wasteland and give every pony their voice, is going to be a way for them to also get fresh music out there, because DJ Pony is getting a little sick of hearing the same songs over and over again. Johnny Guitar. And so with that little bit of canonicity, we're going to be having a lot of other songs that people have written, such as Every Story Must Come to an End, which is meant to be a nice little guitar number about a group of friends, and a little bit of shadowy violin to be symbolized as other friend on the other side of the world. And then this third kind of vocal number, because we have three kinds of vocal music that we are currently producing for the series, is a little bit more dramatic. These are going to be the songs that, well, they're the musicals, so to speak. Now, I should point out that the series is not going to be a musical. This isn't going to have a lot of be prepared moments just randomly burst out in the middle of the animation. More often than not, when we do something fun like this, it's going to be for a special release video. Something to, you know, just get the ideas across and also just help fill out the world in between the animations. If we do have musical moments like this in the series, it'll be more akin to Nuclear Winter Wonderland, where one character starts singing and maybe gathers a bit of a sing-along for levity and lightheartedness for a scene. But that being said, we are using music like this as a real way to fill out, because the hardest part of an animated production is the animation. Animation is so complex and has so many moving parts associated with it that it does require a lot of time and energy. So we're always looking for any passionate members of any visually artistic fields to join us and help us speed the episodes along. We have a lot of animators and artists that you got to see earlier that are working day and night to produce the series, and they've been producing some really beautiful stuff that we can't wait to get more out there of. But the final part of the music team process is the actual score for the series, and that, along with the music that you've heard so far and the other songs that we're producing, they're producing a very wonderful score. Basically, the music team as a whole is called the Balefire Symphony, and includes all of our musicians and artists combining together to create a very nice soundscape and soundtrack for the series. So, here's a couple of them. represent one of the most beautiful things, because of all the teams, the music team is probably one of the most spread out. So just from what you heard, musicians from Australia, New Zealand, Finland, Sweden, the UK, America, Canada, all over the world, coming together to bring some very beautiful music. Now, the tracks you heard show how they can produce it's going to be a very seamless soundtrack. It's going to sound very fitting. Nothing's going to be too jarringly different unless it's meant to be. But aside from just standard stuff like score, they have a lot of different, they have a lot of great, a very broad skill set. Some musicians good at electro swing, and that was the word I was going across. Electro swing, and jazz, and big band, and all those really fun things that you know about Fallout, if you know about Fallout. And beyond just the obvious, sources of Eno Nzer and Mark Morgan, who were the original composers for the Fallout series, from Fallout 1 to Tactics 3 and New Vegas, not 4. Coming soon. Apart from them, we're also drawing influences from a wide variety of soundtrack music. Influences like Martin O'Donnell, who composed the Halo soundtracks, Silent Hill, Attack on Titan, Woodkid, Bioshock, Mass Effect, everything from the survival adventure genre. We're going to be bringing the best of their qualities to really give the Equestrian Wasteland the soundtrack it deserves. And so, now it's probably time to talk about the actual voices of the Wasteland. Now, so many times people will audition because they have an interesting or unique voice, but in too many cases might not have the acting talent to really get emotions across. Stable-Tec operates in a twofold auditioning system as far as voice acting goes. People who audition are auditioning to join our voice acting team. Once we have that voice acting team, it sort of functions in-house, where then, once we have a script for a new episode done, or a special project, all the actors audition, and we see which one of them fits the best for that specific character or part, along with maintaining an understudy or two, just in case something happens. And so everyone on our team have been very productive members. They've been very involved in different parts and auditions, and so we intend to give everyone on our team a fair amount of roles and a lot of airtime and screen time, which is another reason we wanted to produce more vocal series like the Confessions of Wasteland Pony radio play, so that they can really shine, get their acting talents out there, because they work very hard. And that's one thing a lot of people can look down on voice actors for sometimes, thinking they're not real artists because they don't have a pen and paper or a tablet or anything like that. But voice acting is just as much of an art as anything else, and it takes a lot of time, effort, and energy to really learn the nuances of carrying emotion across, which is why the Stable-Tec audition voice acting audition guide is specifically designed to filter out those voice actors who are still in their early days of talking in silly voices into a microphone. Which is not to disparage them. Everyone starts out either doing accents to their steering wheel, or a foot British accent or something, before really having the experience to become a good voice actor. And so we filter through 6 categories. The first is being able to read a script and infer emotions that might not necessarily be present in that script. For instance, if I try to include a vocal demo of what we're looking for a character along with any script. A lot of people don't do that. They'll leave it up to the interpretation of the voice actor, and so a lot of times you will have to infer just from the little bit of screen description or the way the dialogue is written how that character is supposed to sound, which sort of ties into our second one of being able to add your own spin to a character, being able to add your creativity and your nuances, because it's not just about the character, it's about your interpretation of a character. For instance, Heath Ledger doing his best Jack Nicholson Joker impression is not going to sound good. It's not going to nearly sound as good as the way he ended up doing the Joker, because he had to add his own spin. He had to interpret it in the way and perform it in the way where he brought the most life and energy to that performance. And more often than not, even if it could be a few degrees different than what a director is looking for, it could give them some creative ideas, because some actors have added a lot of very memorable and creative things to different scenes and famous series. Take Jaws, for example, the "we're gonna need a bigger boat" was completely ad-libbed. Or the famous scene from the Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, which is when Princess Leia says, "I love you" to Han Solo, and he responds, "I know." And it's those memorable scenes like that that really just come from the actor, because ultimately, once you're cast as a character, you're that character, at least for the series, unless there's some creative thing like, you know, switching bodies or something. And so you have to be able to embody the character. You have to be able to bring them to the table, because there's going to be a point where the script ends. There's going to be a point where you might not have dialogue, or you need to improvise a little bit, and that's when those actors get to bring their creativity to the table and really shine in their art and their talents. So, but then aside from all of the acting side of things, the human side of things, if you really want to become even an internet voice actor like this, like we're all taking the series very seriously. We plan on making the whole thing. I know I'm not going anywhere. And so even if you want to do just ground level voice acting like that, a starting thing, you need to invest in yourself. You need to drop $100 on a good microphone and at least, and some kind of recording software so you can have real quality, because even if you start out, even if you have a really good performance, if your quality isn't good enough, if you're talking into a Walmart headset, it's just not going to be usable. We have actors that have very professional setups. We have actors that have just the bare minimum of technical sufficiency, such as a blue snowball, which is what I use for everything. I've been using a blue snowball, which I purchased for $90, an $8 pop filter, and Acoustica Mixcraft, which is a $70 program for everything I've ever done on the internet. So it's a very minor investment, you know, one birthday, and if you put in the time and energy, you can produce some really good stuff, and you can really get yourself out there and get yourself known. And so then the final step to the voice acting audition for Stable-Tec is dependability, because that's the other thing, is that we intend on making the full series, so we need to make sure we can get a hold of you, even for little things like lines, being able to respond within a timely manner. It's like, hey, we need background lines for this song, you know, can you deliver in 2 weeks? And it's like, yes, I can. That's what we're looking for. And oftentimes, even if a person is not quite as known or quite as talented as another person, if they respect us and they respect their role in the studio enough to be timely with our time, to respond to emails and respond to Skype messages, we're going to respect them more too, and we're going to give them more parts. For instance, so mixing in the drama and mixing in everything, here's one of our favorite studio auditions, made by our very talented Anna Chloe Mori from YouTube.
Hello? Is anybody in there? I know you're in there! Please let me in. I'm radiation free, I swear. You can test me, put me in quarantine, anything. Just please open the door. I'm going to die if you don't let me in. Is that what you want? I know you can see me. I'm the only one out here. Just open it for 1 second. Mum always said I'd be late to my own funeral. Oh, God.
Give Anna a hand. That was a fantastic. So that's what we're looking for. Fallout Equestria, for those of you who've read it, and for those of you who haven't, it is a mature rated story, but it is a very moving novel. And it has, in my opinion, created a sub-fandom in and of itself from what's already a ridiculous fandom of the bronies. So, it is why we look for real real voice acting like this, those dramatics that can kind of carry across those emotions, carry across those deep feels scenes that are so prevalent in the series. But we do have something else special that we've been saving just for Everfree Northwest, which is an animatic from one of the scenes from episode 1 of Stable-Tec Studios, the Fallout Equestria animated series.
Attention every pony, just a reminder that tonight's football match is status restricted. So remember to report to the pit-bug technician stall to have yours switched off before coming into the court. Let's all play fair, ponies. Some of us like the challenge of playing without magical targeting. That's all.
Evening, Velvet. How's things?
Oh, you know, same old, same old. Honestly, if I didn't have your wonderful murals to look forward to, these halls would have driven me batty long ago.
Oh, come on. My murals get admired for maybe a day. Then they just become part of the background. It's your music that keeps every pony sane. Speaking of which, about the concert tomorrow, are you really gonna have the new song ready?
We'll see. Honestly, it hasn't even been a week since my last one. Do I get boring that quickly?
What? No, not at all. But if the other ponies are like me, then they've already listened to your new song at least a dozen times. I guess you spoil us.
Well, who knows? Maybe I'll just take a little vacation. Give some pony else a chance.
It's been a long road, and we've had a very long journey, and but we've come a long way, and we have a studio and very passionate members and leaders that have been doing some amazing things, and we're so much closer to bringing some really quality stuff to everyone, and yeah, we're working hard and we're working passionately, so we really hope you like it. Okay, well now begins the question and answer period. So go ahead and line up to the microphone while I change video. Okie dokie. Oh wow, fantastic. Oh, I think we have till 4, right? So we have a good half an hour. That's exactly what we wanted. First question. Hi.
My question is about people issues. So you talked a little bit about being afraid of Hasbro and cease and desist. Are you concerned at all about Bethesda and the ownership of Fallout, or have you, what work have you done in that direction?
One thing that we've been looking into very closely, yes, we have been absolutely making sure that we trod carefully around all of the copyrights that Bethesda owns regarding Fallout. And but one thing that keeps us a little bit safer is how copyright works. What a lot of you know is the reason copyright is enforced is because it's essentially to keep people, well, in a capitalist society, keep people from competing with others and taking away from their audience. So for instance, in a series like Fallout, it is a video game series. And so the people who have to worry more about Bethesda are our friends over at, our friends over at the Overmare Studios, who are currently producing the Fallout Equestria game. Because a game is going to compete directly with the game. Say for instance, you have some person who's new to both Bronies and Fallout. My Little Pony Friendship Magic and Fallout. A Fallout Equestria game could take away from them then buying Fallout 3 and New Vegas on Steam, or if there were the OG, Fallout 1, 2, and Tactics. Whereas for us, the people we have to worry about are Hasbro, which is why we're being very careful. We're ultimately going to be avoiding any possible copyrights dealing with Hasbro. We're looking very closely at all the details, all the legal issues, and we work very closely with Overmare, so a lot of their experts are helping us as well. So far, so good. Of course.
Hi, so it seems everyone's pretty passionate, at Stable-Tec about the project and everything, so I was wondering, in the future, would there be anything else from Stable-Tec? Would fall into question.
Any what?
Anything in the future from Stable-Tec? Anything else that would be falling into question?
Well, if we get the entire series produced like we intend to, that's going to be one heck of a project and one heck of a resume builder. The ultimate dream goal, and because everyone has great expectations, we ultimately would love to become a functioning animation studio. We have a lot of original IP that we are working on developing that we would like to get produced and off the ground at some point as well. Of course, we're focusing on the Fallout Equestria animation for now, but after that, we're hoping, we can get some good stuff out there.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Hello.
Hey.
I was wondering, what would it take for me to join your crew as a voice actor?
Voice acting, like I talked about before, it's very much about carrying emotion across. So it would you run through our system and you basically be given that same script that Anna played earlier, and basically we can see your chops. The other thing we always point out is that you can always audition again. Even if, say, you don't quite get the emotions out there or you don't quite have the technical sufficiency, you're always welcome to audition again in the future, either when you get a better microphone or after you've taken a little bit of acting classes or worked with other people. Because that is one of the hardest things, is to be aware of yourself, and it takes, unfortunately, a lot of harsh criticism from the internet to kind of correct some rough edges. So one thing I would encourage if you wanted to get practice is just do little bits on YouTube. Just do little voice acting things yourself. If you can find a script or a dialogue, or if you can write a little script or dialogue, something fitting and emotionally similar to Fallout Equestria. Or just do one of the scenes yourself. Like, for instance, when I was looking around for Fallout Equestria radio play projects, I just took a couple of pieces from the book and recorded the scenes, and because I'm also music and stuff, I mixed them together and tried to make it sound good, and it's a great way to just learn those nuances.
I have my own YouTube channel, and I've been voice acting for 3 years, since 2011, and I have 2 series that I have to do on YouTube, and I make up voices, and with the voices that I do, my personality comes out, and just has a lot of talent that I should be voice actors someday.
You should then try applying, and we'll take a listen.
Do you have like a card I can have or something?
We don't have cards, but if you go to the website will be ready soon. We hope to get it up as quickly as possible, but it's going through some very good development. So eventually it'll be the website. If you're listening in the future, ponies. At this point, click on any of our recent videos, and somewhere in there is going to be a link saying join us, and you will just go through that process. They'll connect you to me, and we'll go through everything. So be good.
Thank you.
Like the previous question, for those of us who have artistic talents that would like to offer them to you, would we go through a similar process?
Yes, the one link is for anyone who wants to join the studio. That's from anything from visual, acting, music, web development, anything like that. And basically from there it goes to our master pipeline, and then that gets directed to the proper director of that department. And you can, you'll have to go through that specific audition, say, animatic versus vector art versus concept art, and then go from there.
All right, thank you.
Sounds good. Yeah, and there's one other thing that we have the benefit of doing in adaptive work is that we already have sort of the baseline. We have the creative benchmark, so to speak. But then all the individual creativity is what comes from there, and that's when the passion comes into play. That's when usually the best assets to the studio are those who believe the most in the project and end up really putting in their time and energy to producing great art, great music, great voices, and etc. So.
Hi,
Question about the puppet rigs you guys are making. How far along are like the bases in regards to like different positions, camera angles?
I don't know the details. I'm not a visual pony, so to speak.
Okay.
I do concept artwork for some of our stuff, but I know that we have the main, well, not the main four. The Steel Hooves doesn't show up for a little bit, but Little Pit, Velvet, Overmare, all of them are done, and they've been working on bases for different state companies. Okay. So I don't know the details of those bases, but I know they're being done in Flash. So it will be a Flash sequence.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. With 3D elements and things like that.
Nice.
I was wondering when the story throughout the episodes, is it going to have like a more of a narrative? More like a narrator?
So those of you who listen to the radio play that Equestrian Broadcasting Company produces, obviously having a radio play medium, they use a narrator at points, and they also use Little Pip's internal monologue, which is very well done by No Whacking. To individualize ourselves from that, we're trying to avoid narration and internal monologue as much as possible. Because we are the animated series, we are going to be focusing very much on visuals and staging to really get emotions across, apart from the voice acting, music, etc. So no, for the most part, we're going to avoid narration, and you'll be given basically a fly-on-the-wall view of what goes on.
Hey. I was just wondering, was this series, I'm guessing it's a series, so, was it going to be going on an episodic kind of thing?
Yes, so again, great expectations. Our plan for the series, for those of you who list, it is a different format, but for those of you who are fans of Red vs. Blue, the Blood Gulch Chronicles, we're trying to model ourselves in the sense that we want to make just as much money as they do, as well as the original episodic framing for the Blood Gulch Chronicles, which is 5 seasons. They had 20 machinated episodes at 5 minutes apiece. We are planning on doing 10 15-minute episodes per season. So each season will ultimately be a feature film, similar to each of their seasons. Once we get more people and a good roll going, we hope to produce them as quickly as possible. We have scripts for 2 seasons, done. Voice acting is being done for episodes 1 through 3. Episodes 1's done. What's your question again?
Just that it would be episodic.
Yes, so 15-minute episodes. And released as quickly as we can produce them.
Alright, thanks.
I have 2 quick questions. Number 1, how exactly do you handle gun recoil? Like, it physically would probably shatter their teeth, and especially with the parts under. And number 2, real quick. How exactly will you handle the Pip-Buck UI, and especially the Eyes Forward Sparkle UI?
I think our animators are definitely going to be using POV shots for some stuff like that. We're going to get the Pip's eye look at how the Ice Forward Sparkle works. The Pip-Buck UI is going to be very similar to Fallout, to be sure. And then luckily for things like guns and recoil, well, we are going to stay what's the word? Practically accurate in terms of, yes, there's going to be recoil and everything. We have the added benefit of adapting My Little Pony, so we have magic as a nice Deus Ex Machina. For those of you who read the story, Kit Kat actually plays with this in a beautiful way by mentioning about how magically simple a lot of the bandages and potions work. So we're going to stay within reason, of course. But yes, our weapons team are working on that right now.
Okay, so earthly magic, got it. Thank you.
Hello. Avoiding specifics, the main 6 feature rather heavily into the whole foundation behind how all that happened. Are you guys going to be establishing that through other means and trying to avoid directly using them?
We're going to be reducing their influence a little bit. They will be properly referenced and given their proper context, but like I mentioned earlier, a lot of things have to be reduced when you convert from script to screen, and so reducing the copyright-sensitive elements is usually where we like to start. They will still be present, we'll still have the 6 ministries and all that good stuff. Names might be slightly tweaked, characters will be essentially the same, but you'll still notice them, absolutely.
Okay. So, my
question is more about, you mentioned, touched on it very briefly, about episode release. Like, I mean, no offense to anybody who's involved in the Equestria Broadcast Radio Show, but we get an episode, we wait 7 months for the next episode. That's maddening. I mean, look at like Elements of Brony, the documentary. Who's still waiting for part 2 of that? Oh. You know, it's like, you know, are you going to have a plan where you're going to be like every month or every other month or every other week? What is your plan on release? Because if you drop one episode and you wait 6 months, people are going to forget about it.
Yeah. What our ultimate plan is, we intend to gather as many animators and artisans in the fandom that will help us out in one way or another. We are looking into monetary means where we can, you know, we can compensate people for their work. Ultimately, we'd like to have several unit crews, basically have a good enough pace where everything is moving like an assembly line. So while people are building puppets for episode, say, 10, people are building puppets for episode 10, others could be composing already for season 2, episode 1 and 2, and etc. We actually have music for episodes 1 through 3 essentially done. And you got to hear a sample earlier of some of their work. So yes, we intend to basically at one point eventually have enough processing that the episodes come out ideally every month or something. Until then, that's why we're going to be focusing on other series to keep people involved and interested, like Confessions of Wasteland Pony, which we intend to release every 6 weeks, ideally. So, as long as people get me their stuff, that shouldn't be a problem. And, yeah, so we intend to put out as much content as possible and get the series done as quickly as possible.
On a regular schedule.
Yes, yes, we will maintain regularity if possible.
I kind of have 2 questions. The first one is, since every big kind of production on the pipeline always has its snags and stuff, do you know of any times or stories where something has gone hilariously wrong?
I know I was told at one point about a puppet rig that was not working right, so every time they would try to turn her head in like a gentle tilt, sort of like a curious tilt, it would do the, what was his name? From New Vegas, the doctor thing where it just kept spinning. Yeah, it's very scary. But we got some really good gist out of it.
And the second one, so in her travels, Little Pip finds both the memory orbs and audio logs. So for audio logs, for the memory orbs, it's obviously she has visuals, and so I'm guessing you'd probably animate that. But audio logs, that's simply audio. Is it just going to be, are you going to be animating like showing what the audio log, or is it just going to be kind of the audio and them listening to it?
The memory orbs do have audio as well, and so for the proper memory orbs, likely we will then do the faded shot where we see what she's seeing with her POV perspective, because remember that's how the memory orbs function. But at the same time, the audio logs, the ones that matter to the primary story will be listened to and maintained, but then future cuts where Velvet is obsessively listening to Fluttershy's, or she's obsessively inside Fluttershy's orb, we'll just do the simple thing of seeing her zoned out while Little Pip and Calamity look scared about.
So I was saying, like, there's memory orbs, and then there's just the regular audio log she finds, like in the Shattered Hoof, where she's listening to that one.
In that case, we'll be accomplishing them similar to what Bioshock did, where basically she would start playing them and she'd walk around and we'd accomplish a lot of visual progression while in the background you're hearing the audio, and then we'll make it fit dramatically.
Thank you.
I have another question. What would it take for me to be on your crew as an artist?
Artists, I can't speak specifically for the visual auditioning process. I know for animators, they have a specific animation test that they put all of their artists through. For the others, I simply don't know the process. But they will, go through the, I know you can apply for as many different departments as you want when you go through the application, and you'll just go through each individual department application with that director. So, go from there.
Thank you.
Cool, and I think that worked out pretty well time-wise. So, yeah. Are there any other questions or anything like that? People say.
You free next weekend?
Only if you're in Virginia. Then in that case, yes.
Can Will Pip stop by my house? Because my toaster is on the fritz again.
My bagels keep getting burned.
On my toes, burnt.
Then, in that case, we'd like to thank everyone for coming out to the Stable-Tec Studios Everfree Northwest panel. Again, this is Patrick O'Brien, and I was SkyBolt, and you can check out our individual channels for similar and different fun stuff as well. So, thank you, everyone.